Welcome back to the coffee table series. Today we're going to finish these legs off. That sounds interesting. Stick around. Welcome to the Woodgrafter. I'm Andy Gile, and if you're new here, our mission is to inspire, educate and support you in your journey to becoming a better woodworker. We do that through a whole series of video tutorials, step-by-step project guides, series such as this one, special topics where we deep dive in a subject of interest. We do tool tips, tool reviews, tool techniques, and just generally have a good conversation in an open community. So if you're not a subscriber, subscribe now. Give me a thumbs up, leave some comments and get in touch. And with that said, let's get going. Last episode we laminated up the legs, so we have 4 sets of legs, well 8 half sets of legs. Today's job is I want to bring these together to make the completed assembly. I've still got the markings on the top to show them the orientation, but what I want to focus on now are the face grain, because these obviously will not come together with the glue joint inside it, and some minor imperfections in the lamination. So I want to take these face now and I want to smooth it off over at the planer jointer. And that's it. So that's nice and smooth now. These are beautiful faces, and I should be able to bring the legs together with nothing more than hand pressure, and I can. And all 4 of these are looking really, really good. So now it's time to move on to the glue up. So the first thing I want to do is to lay out dominoes, and once again I'm going to use dominoes to just align these things. That makes it easier when we come to do the final milling, smoothing off of these legs. So I'll take a measurement, and these are oversized. From memory they're about 505 millimeters long, and I need around about 475 millimeters in total. So I want to come in from the end round about 50 millimeters, and that's where I'll put my dominoes, and then one in the center. So with all the dominoes cut, it's now time for the glue up. I'm going to try a different technique. I'm going to fit all the dominoes first and then assemble these pieces. And this was based on feedback from Chewy, and he was saying if you put all your dominoes in first rather than putting glue on the faces, you can then assemble and you have more time because you're not messing around fitting dominoes. So we're going to give that a go. So I left those in the clamp for 4 to 5 hours, giving the glue time to really set and firm up, and now it's time to bring these down to their final dimensions. I've actually decided to change the plan and the design a bit here, and I'm bringing these down to 80 by 70 millimeters over on the planer jointer. This is standard technique. I use in the jointer mode first of all, bringing one face down so it's flat. I then take a second reference face 90 degree to that one, and then finish off, as you can see here, on the thicknesser, bringing these down to their overall 70 by 80 millimeters final dimensions. And there we have it. We now have 4 beautiful legs brought down to 70 by 80 millimeters. And look at that grain pattern. Beautiful tight joints, looks really nice. Really pleased with these and how they look. So the final step on this is just bringing them down to smooth. The challenge you get from the planer jointer is it actually makes the surface too smooth. It comes out like a very highly polished smooth surface. Now these are going to be finished with a tint first of all to make a consistent colour across all the woodwork, and then it's going to be finished with an oil and then probably a wax coat. If you have this thing too smooth at this point, it's hard for the tint and the oil to penetrate into the wood, and it gives you a less than best surface. So what you do is work up for the grits. So I start off with a sanding of around about 40 grits, and then go to 60, 80, 120, and I finish off with a 180 grit, and that's where I leave this, and that gives it a really beautiful feel, really nice and smooth and ready for its top coat. And when everything's sanded down to 180 grit, I just simply break the arris, that sharp corner that you get on those surfaces. I hold the sander at an angle and slowly rotate the wood, putting a beautiful round over on the material. With the sanding out of the way, I want to bring these down to their final length. So I'll start off by measuring this tabletop. And this is 25 millimeters. I measured it in multiple locations just to make sure it's consistent. And it is. So I then bring in the leg and measure the leg. And these legs are actually at 500 millimeters long. So obviously I need to take 25 millimeters off the length of these, bringing them down to 475. I'll start by taking a 10 millimeter slice off one end to give me a clean cut, and then I'll come back in and take 15 millimeters off the other end to bring it down to its final dimension, and we'll do that at the capex. I then use a flagstop to set 75 millimeters, carefully position the wood, clamp it into place and cut all these down to 75 millimeters. And with all the legs cut down to their final size, I now just want to match up the grain. This is subjective, but what I want to do is to get grain pattern across each leg that complements its opposing leg. So if you're looking at the table from the front or the sides, the grain patterns will all look quite good and quite matched. Take your time. It's a shame now to get this wrong, but I just want to complete that exercise, and then I can mark the top and the bottom and just loosely put them into position so I can check what it looks like. And when I'm happy, I can mark each leg so I know where it goes. So this will be cleverly called leg A. This one I will call leg B. No surprises. This one in the back corner here, I'm going to call leg C. And then the final leg, I'm just going to call leg D. So now I know from that numbering system the order that they're going to go into, and also what's the top and what's the bottom. And I then just indicate which face goes to which face. So 1, 2, 3 there between C and D, and then finally 4 between A and D. And now I know the faces I'm going to put the joinery on. So what's the outside face, what's the inside face, the orientation, the location of the legs, and I'm good to go. And although this is not yet secure, it gives you an idea of what the table's going to look like. And you can start to weight up and see whether you're doing a good job or not. Everything looks nice and flat, everything looks nice and square. It's not too wide, it's a nice length and it's a nice height. I also like the grain. The grains are sympathetic to each other, so I like the way that's come out, and the legs look absolutely stunning. The table itself looks nice, it feels nice, it's very tactile. So overall, what's not to like? It's a good job. And even though it's not glued together and there's nothing else supporting it but gravity, it's incredibly stable. Happy days, happy days. So the next thing I want to do is to look at the apron that comes at the side and at this side. The next episode we'll get the wood dimension, we'll bring it down to its final finish, and we will fix it between here, as well as a supporting brace that goes on the inside of these legs to support the drawers and just give it a bit more stability. At that point the end assemblies are actually done. See you next time.